On the Radio is brought to you by Zurich Insurance, the perfect place to catch up with all things Melbourne. If you enjoy this content and want more inside access from the team, make sure you visit the club website.
Time now to get inside the Melbourne Demons. Their assistant coach, Troy Chaplin, joins us here on the program. Welcome, mate. How you going?
I'm going well. Thanks very much for having me.
Wow, mate, that grand final was awesome. I don't think we've had a yak to you since that time, but certainly getting the job done. And, mate, pretty much the form has continued right on until round number 8.
Yeah, look, obviously it was a pretty special occasion for the club. Obviously playing the grand final over there. It was an amazing atmosphere. I think the boys are really looking forward to getting back over there this weekend. We obviously haven't been back since, and it holds a special place with those boys now. So, and as you said, yeah, the season started off really well, which is a credit to those guys, especially after winning a premiership. You're not sure what sort of condition they're going to come back in, but they're clearly really hungry to hopefully go back to back.
The beauty of this side, looking from the outside, is they have a few gears that they can move to when required. What drives this team? Is it, you able to explain what is driving the team at the moment? Because they just look as if they are hungry to do what they did last year.
Yeah, it's a good question because it's hard to tell, but I suppose every individual player's got different drive. But I think the main one driving this group at the moment is to be able to do it hopefully in front of our supporters at the MCG. Obviously last year in Perth was unbelievable, but to do it on our home ground was fantastic. But yeah, I think as well they understand what it takes to win week in and week out now, and that's a strong defensive game and a real team first nature.
What about the team you're bringing across to Perth? Max Gawn, there was a question mark over him, but it sounds like he's been declared fit. Any other players that you've still got to wait and see on?
No, Max is the only one. So we've been pretty fortunate in that area. So he had a scan and was given the all clear. And I think it's just a credit to him. He realised he was a little bit sore. So Jacko's more than capable of playing that ruck role for us. So we'll train obviously later in the week and get an idea of how Maxi pulls up. And if there's any risk, we'll take it. But at the moment, it seems like he's come through unscathed, which is a great result for us.
Now, I've had a look back, and I know this to be the fact that, Troy, you played your very first game for Port Adelaide back in 2004. It was a losing game. Jake Bowie, he hasn't played in a losing game yet. Unbelievable.
Oh, it's incredible. Don't you worry. We're quick to remind him that footy's not as easy as what you think it is. And it's interesting because Maisie, it took him a while to play in his first win at Gold Coast, and he certainly reminds him. But he's our little leprechaun at the moment. It's unbelievable after to win 15 in a row, and to his credit as well, he's been really humble about it and playing a real good brand of footy himself. So he deserves what's coming his way at the moment. It's a credit to the kid.
Yeah, he's getting better, and so are a few of those other youngsters too, like Jordan. I've liked the way that he's playing. Now, mate, we had one of our listeners who contacted us last night. His name is Patrick, and he said, look, the two top teams, being Melbourne and Freo, they don't have a player in the top 20 in the Coleman. Now, I looked it up. Bailey Fritz is number 18, but he's kicked 16 goals. Benny Brown is 31st at the moment with 13 goals. And then you got Lob and Schultz, a couple of Fremantle Dockers. And then Cozzy Pickett's at equal 50th, down with 9 goals. You've got a real spread, haven't you? Is that something that was planned? Because the point that the listener made is that, you know, the value of a single key spearhead compared to the very best teams who have a far broader spread of goal kickers in the game today.
Yeah, I think it's something that we want to make sure that we've got as a good even spread of goal kickers, because obviously if you've got the one target, you can be shut down pretty easily. So I think obviously with Frito leading the goal kicking, I think the thing with Bailey is that he probably hasn't still played at the level that he did last year. So there's still scope for improvement from him there. But I mean, if you look at both Freo and us, without a doubt, there hasn't been that one target who's dominated games. We've got 3 or 4 that can hit the scoreboard, and they've sort of taken it in turns at the moment. And Freo seem very similar in that regard as well. So with an even spread and some mids that can kick goals, it does make it hard to defend, and it just gives you more avenues and more ways to score.
And just on that point, of course, you've had Brown and McDonald in and out of the side. The challenge is certainly there for those two veterans of the Caper. You've had Gorney going forward with Lukey Jackson, who there's four-pronged tools. Wiedemann's come in and played a couple of games when he's had to, and then the little fella Pickett, I love the way he hums around. Bailey Fritz, of course, and that's just to mention a few. But that's the sort of the core of your forward structure, and then you've got those rolling half forwards that play through the midfield like Harms and so on as well.
Yeah, and that's where we, as I said, like that spread of goal kickers does make it hard to, if you want to take out Brownie, we know that Tommy and Jacko and Freddie can hit the scoreboard as well. If you want to take out Freddo, then Brownie will get his turn. I think that's been the real growth and maturity of the group, is that they get a real feel for who's hot and they can sacrifice their own individual game so that we can go to that forward. And I think that's been the real growth in this group, and why we were so successful last year is that it wasn't about each individual. It was about a collective group and the sacrifice they were willing to make for one another so that the team could ultimately get the result.
Yeah, guys like Ed Langdon, 39 touches on the weekend. You go through a whole list of players at Melbourne, they're all playing their role. Now, Troy, we haven't mentioned the West Coast Eagles, but given their predicament, bottom of the table, poor percentage, look, Melbourne could be entitled to just come over here and go in second gear, but let's be honest, the Demons, when they've come to Perth over a long period of time, even the 2018 prelim final, they've been put to the sword. So maybe now's a small chance for redemption to really make sure you not only win the game, but win it well.
Yeah, it's interesting because you don't really look back at results too much. I mean, obviously, the grand final last year, no doubt the boys have got that in their memory, but 18, it's a completely different team now, so we play a completely different way. And then when you look at the Eagles, if we had a look at their team on paper today, there's still some bloody good players in that team. So we've made it really clear to our boys that it doesn't matter who you play against or where we play, you've got to have respect for the game. It's very hard to win in today's game. So if we come over there with a poor attitude and think we're just going to get the job done, then we're at risk of losing this game. So we'll come over with our best team and our best attitude to make sure we get the 4 points.
You mentioned Luke Jackson in brief. Totally confident that, although you're not doing the negotiations, that he will be part of the Demons outfit, not just in the short term, but 4, 5, 6 years from now?
Yeah, well, I certainly hope so, because he's an absolute star. Look, it's obviously there's a bit of noise around it, but Jacko knows that he's a loved player from our football club, and we really enjoy having him. And I suppose his manager and himself will certainly look after that as the year goes on. So we're hopeful that he stays, and I'm pretty confident, but you just never know in today's age. But he's a very important player in our team and plays an integral role to give Gordy a bit of a chop out. But what we've seen is him develop into a really competent forward as well. So he's a classy kid and really important. So hopefully we can get that job done really quickly.
Nice to chat, Troy. Thank you very much for your time.
No worries, guys. Appreciate it.